I just returned home from speaking at the GAIN conference, which is a conference that Vern Gambetta started in Florida 9 years ago, and it's now at Rice University every summer. Highly recommend it to any coach out there. It's a great experience, many awesome speakers. I spoke on dynamic systems for skill acquisition and then also for long-term athlete development. And one of the things that, in looking back at my talk on skill acquisition, that I kind of overlooked is the impact of instruction or feedback or demonstrations of a coach on the skill acquisition. So there's been a few studies not directly related to athletics but just in basic motor skill learning that have shown that a demonstration by a teacher can kind of constrain the students into a narrower range of motions. So if I demonstrate something, the students automatically try to copy what I'm doing as opposed to attempting to find their own solution to solve the movement problem. And the same probably can be said for instruction and feedback. So the more that we as coaches narrow or make some explicit instructions, the more the players tend to want to do exactly what the coach says. Whereas the coach's intention may just be to provide a small cue or to direct the player towards an outcome goal, i.e. if I'm shooting, I want to make the basket. And generally speaking, as a coach, we don't care so much exactly how the player makes the basket as long as they make the basket. But if I demonstrate one way to make a basket, players are automatically going to see that as the way and start to try to replicate exactly what I do, even if that might not be what's best for the player. So the easiest example, I saw Mike McKay demonstrate this up in Canada when we were in Manitoba together. Anytime you tell a player, hey, go shoot a layup, or we're going to do a layup drill, the layup line forms, generally speaking, somewhere between the three-point line and mid-court at a spot that's going to create more or less a 45-degree angle to the basket, because that's what is demonstrated by coaches the first time players roll layups. That's where we start layup drills typically, and so that's where players, if you say we're going to shoot a layup, that's where players go. That's kind of, they've constrained their behavior to believe that is layup practice, and so inside foot, outside hand layup becomes the de facto layup finish. Whereas that might be my demonstration. I might be trying to get players to make a move or whatever and get to the basket and finish, and I'm not worried whether or not what type of layup. I just want them to finish the shot. But if I demonstrate traditional outside hand, inside foot layup, almost all the time that's what they're going to shoot. I've kind of constrained their behavior to that one finish. So it's one thing to be aware of, that how we approach coaching in terms of demonstrations, feedback, and instructions have a major impact on the athletes that we're coaching. And in some cases, that's positive, and we are trying to constrain a behavior in a certain way to facilitate the player learning something new or trying something new or improving in some way. But in other times, our instruction, feedback, or demonstrations might create negative adaptations or negative constraints and reduce the variability of a skill or reduce the range of motion in a skill unnecessarily. And that might be entirely different than what we're trying to do as a coach. So again, we just have to be aware of it. It doesn't mean that demonstrations are wrong. It doesn't mean that instructing or feedback is incorrect. It just means that we need to be aware of how we're instructing and how we're demonstrating to make sure that it fits with the desired outcome that we're trying to elicit from the players. And if we can be more aware of how we're using our feedback and our demonstrations and our instruction to the players, then we can ultimately help the players to get better results, and we can drive the behaviors that we're hoping to see from the players to help their performance.